So I'm just on the way down to the studio, and the last few days I have a bit of a low, bit of a down, so a bit of lack of energy, a little bit tired. Just one of those times when you hit a stumbling block, or you hit a wall, or you're just feeling a sense of uncertainty, a certain disconnect to your why, let's say. And I just thought, okay, I'm going to work myself through it, and I thought I'd just share some of the feelings, some of the ways I tried to pick myself up. So when you don't feel it, one of the things to think about is like, do you go through the motions? When you don't feel that emotion to do it, when you're not feeling it, do you actually do stuff when you don't feel like doing it at all? But there is something about saying, no, I'm going to commit to the rhythm. I'm going to commit to what I set out to do. You know, and that sort of courage to work through those moments helps us get to that trigger point, or that catalyst that helps us move on to the next phase of our lives. Going down to the studio, I'm not in the mood. I don't feel like it. My energy's not good. What will life give back if I give over to life? You have to put yourself out into the process. So sometimes when I'm not feeling it, and when I'm not in the emotion or the feeling, or feeling that there's any capacity whatsoever to get inspired, I will choose to go through the motions. And sometimes the blunt force of putting yourself into that place, it brings out something completely that you never would have expected, because you're always in conversation with life and you never know what it is that it wants to say to you. One of the things that I try to do, especially when I'm going through a bit of a wobbly patch, is to think, what's my minimum daily expectation of myself? We all know that our projects are very time hungry, and especially when I'm going through a wobble, it's just to commit enough time. It doesn't have to be the world. It's just trying to stay within the process, to keep moving, and to stay within that dedication of what it is that you've set out to do. One of the things that you struggle with in the music industry, especially as you get older, it's just like, okay, how much time can you really dedicate to this thing that is bringing you in so little money? And it's like, sort of, you know, music is such a minimal part of my income these days, so it's a real sort of labor of love. And then it's always a question, it's like, okay, you're dedicating so much time to it, and you know that there are other areas of your life that you just spend more time doing that, you can have sort of much bigger results. But to do that would be to put aside your heart. Music keeps me linked to life. It keeps me exploring the world, sort of trying to reach out to that sort of mysterious mystery of melody that's out there somewhere. To have access to that feels like such a privilege when you touch it. It feels like to let that go would be like cutting out your own heart. But when you're in those low times, it's like, man, you're doing the responsible thing for your life, and you don't worry about that when you're younger. But as you get older, those things, they take a different toll, and they have a different meaning. But what can you do? You gotta keep doing the things that keep you alive, and keep elevating your spirits. If not, what's the point or the purpose to why we're here at all? I think the first thing that we forget when we're having one of those rocky days is that there's always one thing that we can do to improve our life, to improve our circumstance. When we're blocked and we're only hearing that negative emotion, or that down feeling, or that dour spirit, you just have to circumnavigate it. If you look around, from making your bed to taking out the trash to wiping a surface down, there is always this thing that's right before you. And the thing that I find is that if you just do that one thing, if you give your spirit over, and you know, because sometimes when you're at that real low, you don't feel like doing anything at all, because you're like, what's the damn purpose of doing anything? And that's why things spiral and get worse and worse and worse, and you have to commit to the next thing before you, as if your life depends on it. So it's interesting about this idea of going through the motions, because you go through the motions in order to get into motion. And once your emotion starts happening and the world comes in, the vibe starts going up. So remember, movement is always good. So one of the things often when I come into the studio is I have a clear purpose, I have something in my mind I'm setting out to do. Whereas today, I'm coming in to listen. I'm coming in to just to be in the space, to think over life, to check in with how I'm feeling, with what's coming up. It's really just about listening. I'm going to move some stuff around, maybe do some practice. Yeah, if a song comes, that's cool, but it's just about the listening. Sometimes I think with creativity, we can get so bound up with doing and this obsession with actually sort of having a purpose to every moment, progressing on something. And I think one of the most important things is to dedicate yourself to a time of listening. So I think one of the things that we're very quick to forget when we set out on a project is there are going to be challenges that you can't conceive of at that point of setting out. And perhaps that's the whole point, because those challenges, they come up with a purpose in themselves. Like, your purpose isn't just to get what you want. Your purpose is to go on that journey to face the very demon that you've not faced yet, and then to find in yourself, do you have a way to answer that demon? Can you look that demon in the eye and answer the questions that he will ask you, face the challenges that he will set you? And in the course of that process, you're going to be somehow changed, and that change is going to feel painful. And during that pain, the question will arise at the deepest part of your spirit: am I up to this? Am I good enough? Do I have what it takes? The whole thing as you set out on a goal is that you end up in uncharted waters. And at that point, all that you have in your life is the decision to put one step in front of the other and to go forward, because that's the moment that you have to start charting this uncharted space, to answer the questions it's asking, to serve it if there's something that it needs to be served, or to bring something to it that perhaps it might even be missing in some way. So the studio is a bit of a mess, because last night I was in here and I was making this a longer video. Oh God. Is that better? Oh dear. But as you can see, the studio's a bit of a mess. I was in New York, had an amazing session with Gordon Raphael, famous of recording the first two Strokes albums. And so today I'm just kind of trying to get back into the vibe, get stuff in ordered. And I think that there are different phases to getting yourself going. And one is just to reset where you've been, get yourself started again, preparing for the next steps by cleansing your environment, getting yourself right again. You go through the motions sometimes, get that movement in to get yourself going. And then you think, okay, what's the one thing that I could do to make things better? It might be as simple as moving this damn chair over there. Maybe that's going to radically help my life. And then from there, now that I'm in here, okay, what's going to happen once I've got myself in purpose? I'm having a listen. And one of the things that I think we can all remember that is always a great investment is how can you improve at the thing that you most love doing? It doesn't matter if it's for 10 minutes or for 10 hours or for 10 seconds, but to get to the end of the day, having put some genuine focus and love into that thing that you're trying to do will always reap a good feeling. And you have to remember that so many of the most important things that you ever do in life are actually the invisible steps, those steps that no one is going to see. They become the most rewarding things, because it's in those moments that life is somehow carrying itself out. Our lives are our own lives to live, and they happen invisibly. So many of the most significant things that you ever do, they happen in this very personal, individual space when you're having that conversation with yourself. And by having that deepest conversation with yourself, you're conversing with the world. So never worry when you're in that spirit of anonymity, that that sense of anonymousness, not anonymous. Okay, that sense of anonymity is a blessing in itself, because it's in those periods on your own when you're having that conversation with yourself those are the times that you have those breakthroughs, those moments that are yours alone to live, and then you go through those things, and then you have something else to bring back to other people. So you even though it's hard to be in those tough spaces and it can be isolating, and you can be self-questioning, and you can be doubtful, and you can be fearful, and you can worry about your future, and you can suffer from terrible anxiety. There are so many different sort of forms of what we go through on the inside, but they all have a purpose. Because if we can have the courage to go through those things, that damn tram, if we go through those fires of the Spirit, we learn something, and through that learning, we are given a gift that we can then pass on, and that really does sow meaning in our life and make sense of things. What do you think? Okay, so I've got my Prophet down here, which I bought years and years and years ago, and I suddenly just felt like I don't have space, and I was like, what's the studio for? And I was like, right, okay, what are my new goals? I'm starting to think out of this little bit of self-questioning, what's the next phase of the project? And I realized that maybe I was starting to feel a bit low just because I've actually had such a great year. And the reason that I'm feeling a little bit, unsure and uncertain is because I've just come to a bump in the road. So the question is, what's to come next? And it's like, okay, I just want to freshen up, and I'm starting to think musically, like, how can I challenge myself to go into the next stage of the project? I've now recorded 5 songs. I mean, how did that happen? It's me. I'm getting a song done per month, and I'm going to be in the studio again in June, and I haven't written the songs yet, so I got to get those going. So I'm starting to formulate a little sense of the future. Damn you! So next I'm going to get the tripod, put it behind there, see how it feels. Maybe that'll give a new sense to the studio for the next video. So it's really strange. The studio is sort of feeling double the size now. If I was to put the camera over here, that would be the type of angle. I think it's really working. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Right, so I'm going to keep on tidying up. It's beginning to freshen things up. I'm beginning to see some of the stuff that I didn't do when I first moved into the studio. Recalibrating. Go through the damn motions. I tell you, that tram. Just getting rid of a few boxes. Making some changes and just shifting the atmosphere, It's like moving the air, moving life around a little bit. We always forget that doldrums has a purpose, because you move to the end of one cycle and it says, right, you just need to think anew. You need to look at things a bit differently, shift some stuff around. Something has to stop and to push into the edges of your being so that you start thinking differently about things, so that you reanalyze, you look with a new perspective. The purpose of life isn't always to stay in the same place. The purpose of life is to keep you moving, to provoke you. And I think that's the purpose of, a bad mood, or when you hit the doldrums or a dead end. It's like, well, what can you change? How can you move your life along a bit? How can you think differently? Is the goal that you were chasing before, is it appropriate to this moment in your life? How can you retune yourself? What is the journey that you're on? What are you moving towards? Do you have the courage to change course mid-course? The way that you work it out is through time. And you have to remember, it's like, I think as an independent creative artist, as you go through one low to the next high, from those moments of feeling inspired to feeling like you're hitting a damn dead end or a blockade or a wall, there's always 4 things that we're just short of, and that is money, resources, time and energy. Now, the thing about money and resources is that they're really hard to control. You know, there's always going to be a different conversation with money. It's be there, it won't be there. The jobs will be coming in, they won't be coming in. Your art will be paying you, it won't be paying you. The resources will never be what you wish you had. You know, you're always going to be feeling some type of deficit. There will always be a project you're trying to create that you don't quite have enough money for, whatever. But the latter two you can be smart about. You can be smart about your time, and you can be smart about your energy. And when it comes to your energy, there is always that capacity to say no to something, in order to say yes. So sometimes you do have to think a little bit sacrificially about it. And when it comes to your time, it's like, well, you can expand your experience of time through your attitude. So for me, it's like when I'm in these times, I'm always going back to my attitude. You know, what choice can I make within this particular circumstance at any given time? I'll repeat that. What choice can you make at any given time within those circumstances? Because there's always something that you can move, something you can change, something you can do. The question is, are you willing to do it? 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so just getting the light set up over here, over the desk. Maybe I'm just procrastinating. I think one of our deepest dreams as human beings is to evolve spiritually, and to evolve artistically, to work life out, to work ourselves out in relation to the world and in relation to ourselves and our experience. And earlier I was speaking about, well, I wouldn't say sort of disillusion, but when you're having those troughs and those moments when you're just not feeling what it is you're doing, you feel disconnected to the why behind what you're doing. And what is the why? Well, the why in the arts is, why does anyone choose a creative life? It's because you're trying to make conversation with that deepest part of yourself, to pull out meaning from the doubt or from the uncertainty, or to try and put words to the things that you try and fathom, to dive into this sort of like large interior abyss and to bring a light into it, and to read the calligraphy on the walls. You want to explore it, you need to explore it, and not just explore it, but to find an outlet for it. And creative life is the outlet. Now, there are so many different types of outlets, and I'm not undermining any of the other ones. It's just, for me, I choose creativity. And the reason I can never set it apart is because when I write a song, it's the vehicle through which I am taking out these abstractions, these things that don't quite yet make sense to me. And the song is the formulation. It's the way that it shapes itself into some type of form that I can understand. That all of my spiritual breakthroughs or psychological understandings, they're all earmarked or marketed by the formulation of the song. The song is the way that the water freezes, or the gas freezes itself. The mystery takes form, it takes shape, and it becomes a presentable form. So that's why for me it's like, even when I have those times of deep lowness or sadness in the art, it's never a question to walk away from it. It's just a question, okay, I need to keep figuring it out. I need to keep figuring out what I'm feeling inside, how I'm reacting to life. And I think the thing is that many of us fall into this trap that there's only one way to make a life in the arts. And the thing is that, for me, it's all the ways that I didn't expect to make a life in the arts that enabled me to make a life in the arts. And the process of having to figure it out by learning photography, by learning film work, by learning documentary, by doing little bits of design, by helping people, doing a bit of consultancy, whatever it is. Those are the ways that unlocked not just the ability to make a life in the arts, but also
always kept me alive to different stories and bringing something new back to the music. Because if you're always trapped in your form of the genre, if you're never expanding yourself, if you're never having to solve other problems or find solutions through exercising different creative parts of your mind that are trying to figure out how to do life, then you never have something to bring back to the main art form itself. So I'm very grateful for the journey that I've been on. It's a jigsaw puzzle, but it's a good jigsaw puzzle. Sometimes it's snakes and ladders, it's always a jigsaw puzzle. In fact, it's every damn game. You know what I mean? More often than not, it's the thing that you least set out to do or wanted to do that actually becomes the very thing that teaches you the most about life and that gives you that new information. You know, I never set out to do photography. I never set out to do music. I never set out to explore human rights. The challenges of the path of being provoked, being stimulated, being questioned by life, they provoke me into become another I, a different version of I that I had no idea existed when I first set out. And that's the thing about human potential, is that you do not know what's inside you. Whatever you're feeling at the moment, especially if you're in a moment of darkness or uncertainty, that is the very cauldron through which the best version of you potentially is going to be made. So the point I make is that dourness, those doldrums, that pain, that hurt, it has a purpose because it's stimulating you to find something new. Life is asking a different question of you. How are you going to answer? And every day there'll be something new you have to answer. And I know it can be exhausting at times. And I know that it hurts sometimes. And I know sometimes, especially when you feel that biting loneliness of trying to create a project and think, damn, is it so much easier? Why is it so much easier for everyone else? You go through all of that. And the thing is it's through working on the solutions of humbling yourself, having the humility, that you find new ways.
Okay, not set up the lighting yet, but this will be kind of a first moment of truth. So let's see how it feels. This will be where this camera will live when I'm not working, I guess. How is it looking? I have no idea. I can't really see anything. Any difference? Sort of need to create a bit of life over here, but I feel like there's more. It's giving out more space. The room feels like there's more potential and there's more space than was before, so I think it's working. Is it too harsh? No idea. Don't know about this stuff. Look, how does it feel? Chatting convincingly? Chat GPT? Anyone? Coming forward, intense, serious, many important things being discussed. Damn tram! And this is Nova P60, a bit higher, which it's just obviously too bright. Let's have a look. So maybe a bit softer, coming in, talking about cats. Today, a large, fat cat was seen on the cliffs of Dover, and it was a terrible accident. Sorry, cat lovers.
So that's me off home tonight. It's a strange thing. It's probably been the day of the year when I've done the least. And yet I feel that I've done more than on any other day because I've reset myself. And it's sometimes I think the thing that life is asking us is to do the very thing that we didn't know that we needed to do. Today it was to take a breath, and it was to shuffle some things around. It was to listen to myself. It was to go from this moment of feeling pretty low, energyless, trying to kind of force myself out a little bit. Not because I really wanted to do something, just because I didn't want to stay in the space that I was in. And my intention was never to come here and just to move stuff around, but it just felt like the right thing to do. I just thought if I just move this from here to there, then maybe that might make a life a little bit better somehow. And then it did. And then I feel like there's a new vision for this little room. And for me, it's just like it's a little lesson that in the heart of those low moments, there's always the potential for something else. How do you treat yourself within those low moments? Sometimes it's not to do anything. Sometimes it's, to call a loved one or to see your friends, check in with your family. And sometimes you need to spend time with yourself or go back to nature. We all have our different processes. But today, it feels like a reward just to feel this sense of fulfillment at the end. I really wanted to practice. I really wanted to start working on new songs. It's past 11 p.m. and I know that I could start doing other stuff and I could stay overnight. No, the point now is to go and rest, and it's to invest in tomorrow and to hopefully wake up, feel refreshed, get my other work done and come down here and then reevaluate the next steps for this album, to see where I need to make the tweaks and then to resolve to go forward. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for all the support. It's pretty quiet here still on YouTube, but for those of you that drop in, it means the world to me, and I'm gonna keep on sharing with the void. If you'd like to subscribe, that would be lovely. And I feel like there's someone out there that this will reach one day, and I want you to know that it means the world that in this strange digital age we can share this moment from me to you. If it ever does reach you, drop a comment. Tomorrow, 100 days, 1,000 years, whenever it may be, I will be merged with an artificial intelligent life form, and I'll be on my way into the next galaxy. Over and out.